Hello, Universus. You asked, and so I'm here to show you my Hange deck list that I played in teams with Team Pro Hero Wash, the three of the 2024 regional champions, myself, Tamron Cardwell, and Tim Keefe. Made a run. We almost got the belts, but couldn't quite get there. In the end, put up 5 wins out of 6 rounds. I think it's pretty good. So here's the deck that's on Ultra. This will be in the description. But first, I want to do a little presentation. This is the Hange Kitchen featuring Monkey Flip. Hange Four Eyes is the successor to both Hange Zoe from set 1 and Erwin Smith, the 13th man of the Survey Corps in the lore. They sacrifice 2 foundations to ready and commit, plus build a card from their hand face down for +3 and -3 damage. This is very different than Erwin, and yet it plays in a similar space. So I'm just gonna go through I'm not gonna lecture on what Hange does, where this deck came from. We're gonna talk about Monkey Flip. I love Monkey Flip. This deck is built around Duplicitous Recollection, summoning the Beast Titan, and the Beast Titan attacks. This is the attack. Duplicitous Recollection has been on my eyes since day one, summoning your choice of shift attacks, of shift backsides, where you can summon a full price 7 difficulty card with haste, where you get it immediately, where usually the shift mechanic puts them into your stage at the end of the turn. You have to wait a turn for like the Smiling Titan to activate. Much stronger when you get it right away, and you're still paying the same price in the case of an attack like Beast Titan attacks here. And especially the Beast Titan is absolutely wild here for 2 reasons, something that none of the set one shift attacks had. Number 1, his bottom ability here does not commit for its cost. He can add damage to every attack of the turn. This just turns Duplicitous Recollection up front into an 8 damage attack, which Hange turns into an 11 damage attack. That's great. And then secondly, this form, where the female Titan made a similar shape form. Form commit, pay 3 stamina, summon an attack from your discard pile of your hand. Attack recursion is very good in Universus, but when you can summon a copy of yourself, because the Beast Titan attack is ranged, it's not capturing my cursor, so my frenzied cursor mouse gestures here aren't being captured, but I promise they're crazy. Recollection is now an 8 damage attack that puts a 11 damage attack, another 8 damage attack in your hand, and Hange pumps these up to 11s. That's kind of cracked. And then the second half of the story is the Beast Titan can also summon any range attack, and I love Ready Shot. We'll get to that in a minute. First, yeah, one of the things I love in my decks, one of the things that is very important to me in my decks, is that if people mess around, that they can find out, right? That if people go to 0 cards in their hand on turn 2, that there is a chance that they will lose the game on the spot for that if they can't kill me. And this actually came to fruition in teams. Got paired into the Casino Mirko deck, and they went really hard on turn 2. They played every card in their hand. They played 2 Lunar Tijeras on me, and that was gnarly. I was at a low life total. I was in danger. I think if I tried to turtle up and say I will not get hit again for the rest of the game, I likely would have lost sooner or later. But instead, I had checked, fortunately, favorably to myself, and I'd also built a total of 7 resources in my first build turn plus their attack turn, which is one of the powers of Hange that I will talk about in the next slide a little more. But so I got Duplicitous for 6, plus 2 from the Beast Titan I summoned, plus 3 from Hange. Second Duplicitous, summoned Smiling Titan actually, but it was irrelevant. It got the plus 2 from the Beast Titan that was already in my stage, plus Hange. And then I got to commit the Beast Titan to summon a Tri-Gravity Beam from my graveyard, play that, put 3 more damage on it. That's 11, 11, 8, 30 damage. That's a 1-turn kill against an opponent with no hand. Your opponent often won't go to no hand, but this is the potential that is on the table whenever the game is underway, whenever you can... There are trade-offs here. You know, we're trading very high difficulty for some of these. This is a very committal turn you have to go into, but this is what your opponent has to play around at all times against this deck, which I love. And the other thing is Ready Shot summons any 1 difficulty card, which is a delightful array of options. The biggest one here on the screen, Desperate Plea. My friend Tim Keefe put up a video about how blocking isn't good right now, and I see there's a lot of wisdom in that video. There's a lot I agree with, but I don't think that's quite I don't think I quite agree with that as the thesis of what's going on in the game right now. That's not a complete picture, and Desperate Plea is an example of the things that are in the format where attacking people makes them stronger. Where if you attack Hanji, I can not only commit to build a card if I really don't think you're doing anything, I can just throw away all my resources up front, but we can block with any foundation in this deck, any card in this deck, and put it in our stage with Desperate Plea. And so I can build 5 on my turn, do a 2-2-2-1-0 curve because we're on almost safety 4s. Uh, those are nearly guaranteed, and also as player 2, if we commit Hanji, that's not really that big a deal. Hanji's play well committed in a pinch, has a tenacious ability in a pinch, and yeah, so we do that safety 4s curve. That's a good. It takes a good hand with this deck to build those on safety 4s, but we can also often have 3 2 diffs and 2 1 diffs. Is not a crazy thing, and then that's only 1 check at risk if we assume we're not checking a 3. But then get that 5 build on 1, and then on turn 2 we block once because we call the shot. We're gonna I expect you to attack high, so I'm holding this this +2 high block, this +1 high block in my hand. We block it, build it with Desperate Plea, and get much stronger. And then Hanji also commit, build a card. You can have 7 or 8 resources going into the second turn without even doing stuff like Weapon Clash or Always Cool, which are also in this deck. So this deck can get a very wide stage very rapidly. And in long games, the Beast Titan attacks, the Beast Titan backup, Monkey Flip. I call them flip attacks because calling them shift attacks or like the Beast Titan attacks is ambiguous whether you're talking about the attack or anyway. Summoning 1 diffs is awesome. Summoning this range of options. We can summon Genkai's Guidance as a attack delete button in a long game by only committing 2 deck slots to it in this current build. We can summon I'm With You, which then can build face down and then be sacrificed and give us the 2 damage. We can summon Grenade Bracers to add 20 damage in a turn in a very long game. Put that in the stage and force our opponent to either deal with it or then have to play around that bomb being at the back of my attack strings at any time. Frightening Column breaks down stages in long games. Risky Gamble is a card advantage engine. This is my favorite part of the deck. This is what inspired me to build this deck, and it was kind of the combination of this with the unsafety 4s idea that really got my blood pumping. So let's get into the actual deck list now. Then I have to hit Alt Tab here to pull this actually up. So Beast attacks, we talked about Beast attacks already. Twisted Recollection, we talked about Twisted Recollection. Those are the only 4 attacks in the deck right now. Ready Chut started as a 2 of, has gone up to a 3 of. We want to have this in the graveyard to be able to summon it with Beast attacks. It's very good just as a throw it out, see what happens. Right? We know Battle Aura Release is a 4 high for 4 grows up to a 7, grows up to an 8 usually, draws a card. This is shaped a lot like that ultimately with Hanji. If you want it to deal damage, you commit Hanji, makes it 7. It's pretty good. And then Sun 1 is as good as is usually better than an extra speed. It's great to throw out. It's great to it has virtual extra damage in long games with things like I'm With You, and if you're winning that turn, it's virtually extra damage I'm With You. And then it also just has such a wide range of options that the deck's really built around to give it a wide range of options when we're kind of in neutral, when we're kind of just playing normal games. Unexpected Outcomes is gnarly. This thing, another part of this deck is kind of the discard package, which is relatively mild, but swings a lot of games, abruptly leads to an ending if your opponent doesn't have a lot of card draw. Some folks have a lot of card draw these days, a lot of flip draw, but then they have to carefully ration those to stay alive. Almost the best part of this is when you're playing in neutral, when you're putting up the wall and your opponent's trying to sculpt. This just lets you tear open their sculpt. You say, "Hey, you got some deadlock attacks over there? Let me play with those. Thanks." Really, and 10 speed is crazy fast. Kind of the thesis of the deck. The thing that I started rambling about and decided not to try to continue elaborating on was basically just that when your character adds 3 damage, that is a profoundly different thing than adding 2 speed. Right? Comparing Hanji to Irwin, just extremely different characters, being Death Symbol 7 hand size characters that can play a lot of the same cards. All the incentives for Hanji push you towards playing attacks that are kind of shaped like Unexpected Outcomes, that are evasive effectively. You can see what your opponent's blocks are and take one of them away from them. And then also it has a huge base speed number. So if you can just land this, and this is just a crazy good card, really, really good, and it fits really well. The Smiling Titan here is a hot one of with more in the sideboard, kind of as a thesis of there are going to be decks that will attack us with, I guess, ultimately things shaped like Unexpected Outcomes. Come to think of it, the Smiling Titan, if someone was playing that in the mirror match, maybe. where there are just attacks that are very hard to defend against. That are walk that if we're trying to play around walk that, if we're playing against Toga or something. It kind of sucks giving a lot of these decks the access to a backup that they can slap for momentum, but that's a better trade off than giving them our life total slap and kill us. And the Smiling Titan just puts up a roadblock and says, "Hey, he comes here first." Often, if they try to play a small attack, we can defend it. This deck is very good at fighting over backups using its giant pile of damage reduction if we want to, and our opponent doesn't know if we want to or not. So often they have to make committal choices without knowing where we stand with how we feel, and we can, you can obviously update your choices in real time as that goes. Try Gravity is the other 3 check in the deck. This is a Deadlock Bomb. Actually, like Deadlock Stun 3 is surprisingly good in a lot of cases. You think a board of 15 foundations wouldn't care about this, but often when you're 3 or 4 attacks deep in a string, there are only important cards remaining, and stunning 3 of them out is really strong. This is virtually a base 7 damage attack if we consider, as long as we can find an I'm with you or a remove cost on any of our other stuff. And yeah, it's more hand rip. It's more virtual unexpected outcomes, which are available for us to summon with the Beast Titan attacks. Yeah, and also just the fact that it's 4 difficulty, in that Mirko string I talked about earlier, where I turned 2 Kildare, that was really enabled. It was that even with the Hange build, the extra foundations getting stronger from being attacked, that would have been pretty sketchy if I was playing 3 7 diffs and having a 4 diff available. Oftentimes you will just summon Ready Shot just to play it on a 6 or a 7, commit some face downs, ready Hange, commit Hange again, 3 more damage. And try to finish out the string with 1 final attack after that. Just having the cheaper attacks have fit in the middle. If we could play if there was a 3 diff or a 2 diff around, I would consider a Hawk's Feathers shaped attack in this deck even, just because it pile up so much damage on stuff we are already attacking the hand. Anyway, Ravager's War is also a crazy bomb. 8 difficulty is a little uncomfortable, but it tears apart the hand. It's very fast. It's very hard to defend. Even you played a Rodan and he's getting his board committed out if he's trying to block these, and also getting his hand torn apart, and also. The block response is very much live in this deck. We can often, maybe we'll have 8 foundations, then we'll stack 2 to Hanji just to get this off. This applies pressure to our opponent's resources in a valuable way. The Jaw Titan attacks is another big part of why I'm excited about this deck. Why I built this deck in the first place, actually, was somewhat inspired by using the Jaw Titan to counterplay into Ymir and against Recovery Girl, especially. We had a local Recovery Girl who is very sad. Will be very sad a week from Monday when the erratas go into effect. But this is part of why I was excited to play this deck in teams in particular, because if our opponent sat down with Recovery Girl, we would say, "Hey, Hanji into Recovery Girl. Let's go take their lunch money." Let's say you can't gain life this turn. Let's say your last second rescue abruptly doesn't work when you thought it would. Surprise. The Jaw Titan is great. We have an extra on the sideboard. Gaining 2 health also is far from irrelevant. Also, everything I said about 4 difficulty attacks, we're used to playing 7s and 8s. Playing a 6 difficulty attack is often refreshingly easy, right? You check a 5 on this. If you have a ready stage in this, it's actually almost favorable. You also want to commit 2 foundations to pass your control checks, because Hanji has to sacrifice 2 foundations to ready. And if you want to be using Hanji on every attack to hit the maximum value out of committing, and just getting plus damage, you need to have 2 committed. You're losing value if you destroy ready foundations. And so paying 7 for a Jaw Titan, check a 5, woohoo, we tap 2 face downs, we blow them up. Get that going. We have a little suite of 1-ofs. 2 of these are kind of part of the Ready Shot toolbox. Grenade Bracers felt decadent, where I'm just like, I'm just being cute. I'm just playing this 1-of that doesn't need to be in here. That's exorbitant damage output. We do so much damage already, but then I dealt 28 to a Byakko last night at our locals. And I was very grateful that I had Grenade Bracers here to add 2 damage every time I readied Hanji on top of all the other damage in this deck. More dakka is never wrong in a deck list. This might come out of the deck list. This might be a card you side out in some matchups. You play against a 7-hander, the damage is gratuitous and the acid isn't worth the space. But this is really strong. Kind of a similar vein. Potato, not irrelevant. This is a cool block. You block with this, then you can enhance. If your opponent continues attacking, you can enhance, build it, draw, gain a health. You don't draw a card. That'd be a cool card. I'm turning into Sam Tate, I guess. But yeah, this cancels damage resets, this cancels referee jury, this cancels invincible body type stuff, and that's just very powerful to have access to. And so I think this was a easy one up to put in the deck. This could certainly have more copies. I'm a big fan of Potato. I think it's very strong, but right now we have one. Battle Arena is a hot one up with one more on the sideboard. This kind of got trimmed down. Originally I had two. This is kind of this deck is very much inspired by the Smiling Titan. We see the death symbol Smiling Titan deck list back in Atlanta. Fell off after its errata, but I think that character is not irrelevant. Except that Hange is just doing everything it does better, I think, ultimately. Except +4 speed on 8 damage moves isn't that good, but maybe it could be something. Anyway, but yeah, Battle Arena is great. It's just a 2-for-1, right? You put it in play, you play a Beast Titan, and if you don't want to spend resources, if you don't want to sacrifice foundations, you just tap Battle Arena, and it helps you pass the control check. This buys you insurance, it lets you play longer strings. When we're playing a string of, if we get into a deep late game and we have to play a string of 4 attacks on 7 difficulty each, any +2s are very much welcome. And this also is a strong hedge, a little less relevant now, but a strong hedge against Berthold. If he destroys the world, I think I played a game in teams where I played against Berthold. He flipped every game of the match, but in one of the games, I was player 1 and I got a Battle Arena down, and so I was in a very favorable position to kind of just beat the crap out of him the turn after he flipped. Yeah, we've got. I'm rambling on all of these in way too much detail. Wheeling off one's kind of cute. I don't know if it belongs here, but this is just form on Flip Foundation. We have a lot of ways to get face downs on our stage. Sometimes you can. The dream is you cheat in your one of grenade bracers with Hange, and then surprise. Here's Wheeling one for all. Unflip it. My two copies of different one ofs, but you can tutor with ready shot. You'll certainly draw 2 ready shots and be able to tutor this combo, right? Your graveyard always has everything you need in it. Yeah, one thing that almost got a slide in the slideshow up there was it's sort by quantity, which puts all of the 4 ofs at the bottom. Yeah, we talked about Desperate Plea. Desperate Plea is a pillar of this deck, I think. Hange defends very well with damage reduction, which is what I was going to talk to. But having the ability to get a lot of value out of your blocks as well is really, really great. If people attack you with slow, heavy attacks, blocking those is how you want to defend them. You don't want to try to fight. Here's my 3 mid 10. You don't want to try to say, well, I'll give it -10 damage. Haha. You'd much rather play a +2 mid block, right? It's pretty easy to have those. Yeah, this kit of the Greater Goal, Immortal Shapeshifter, and Weapon Clash is there's been some conversation about exodias, right? About combinations of cards that just say the game is virtually over already, and you just give up. And Exodius, I think, is a function of both decks, right? If I sit down my deck with my Weapon Clash, Greater Goal, Immortal Shapeshifter, and I build those on turn 1, that's kind of Exodia. But then if you don't have tools to fight over that, if you don't have tools to go over the top of that, well, yeah, the game's over. Maybe you could have built your deck differently to not put yourself in that position against this combination of cards. But yeah, this is just brute force. -7 damage, gain of health every hand step where I want it to be, right? I enhance with Weapon Clash. This sometimes gets a little sketchy because enhancing with Weapon Clash is minimum 1. I can react Greater Goal, which says after Foundation is destroyed, flip 1 for -2 damage. Greater Goal goes first, so the Weapon Clash minimum applies after the Greater Goal minimum. So if they have a 5 damage attack, I can give it -4 to 1. But if they have a 3 damage attack, I can only really give it -2 with this kind of situation. And then also, Shapeshifter gains the health back. So, if we're getting tick for 1 here, we're getting tick for 3 or 4 here, or whatever. Shapeshifter can get us back into a safe range, a range where we can keep taking shots. And then, Hange also goes on top of this with 3 more damage. This deck builds wide, and then it shrinks down if we have to defend. If we have to use these resources to defend our life total to reduce the damage. And I think it's you want to make sure you're not overly debuilding yourself. There can be spots where you have to do this to stay alive, and that sucks. And then you might eventually get checkmated where you stack your board down to 3 foundations and then fail to build it back out or whatever. But yeah, this is a very powerful resource. It makes it very hard to kill you with this Greater Goal Weapon Clash stuff if you assemble them. We don't have tutors for them. I'm not playing the Attack Titan Emerges that could sacrifice 3 diffs into 2 diffs to try to assemble these more often. But yeah, when these come together, it's really, really strong. One card that really complements Greater Goal, one thing that we might observe in this deck is that there's a lot of things shaped like pushing limits, right? Flip, draw a card. I'm not playing very many flip costs in this deck, and that's because the Greater Goal consumes all my flip costs. I would rather keep my foundations face up so that I can flip them for this, because this is really, really strong, and having a completely face on stage is not favorable to you. We want to keep our stage face up, keep our abilities going as much as we can. But so risky gamble uses outwit, and if your opponent rival draws cards, a lot of people draw cards, some people don't. You can force them to with Botan's coaching. Turn this into flip 1 plus commit 1 plus unflip 1 to discard a card and draw 2 cards. Economy, we like that. Risky Gamble also is a 1-diff we can summon, and it's important that we can summon this because in addition to its card advantage, it's also a devastating deadlock ability. This is the kind of deadlock where your opponent builds to 11 and then it says, oh crap, oh no, I'm at 11. That is one more than I'm supposed to be at, and their position gets much worse because they went to 11 than they were at 10. Because you can kill their bet. Like oftentimes, they'll have 11 cards, they'll have 3 that are much better than the rest. And this says now you have 2 that are much better than the rest, and you have 8 of the rest. And even if they have 15, often destroying their best card 2 or 3 times will make them much weaker than when they had just 10 with the good ones. So this complements Greater Gold very well, though. You're very excited. You're generally very excited to unflip it to draw a card. This deck is also hungry for cards. We like to build a very wide stage. I have been just playing in Deadlock automatically every game I play with this deck. I will spare a brief moment to think about it and then go to 12 or 15 or whatever. If your opponent has focused attack, not named Funny Punch, it is actually named Focused Attack. Deadlock target commit 3. That's a problem. We don't like that. That's part of why Genkai's guidance is here, is to delete those deadlock attacks. But to jump around, so the next thing I want to talk about are these 3 decks. We have 4 acts of each of Button Collector and Weapon Clash. These are just more card economy pieces, and Button Collector is very, very strong. Commit draw card is really good. It gives us more fuel for Hange, gives us more space to find whatever we're looking for, more space to find the Ravages of War, more space to find, just draw the 2-diff Exodia combos. Also is one of the few ways that we have to sync momentum. There's a 1x Beast Titan Skull in this deck as the only keyword attack that spends momentum. This could go in the main. This could be another ranged attack we can summon that would be good. We can stack a lot of damage on stuff, and having EX available is really good. But there are also sometimes where, I lost the game to a string that included Absorbed Spirit Strike. I had a Duplicitous Recollection Momentum, and they got to deal 10 damage to me with a 4 difficulty attack. I hate this, but there are some spots where you just don't take momentum because it's not worth it. I usually do, and then sometimes I don't find a use for it. Anyway, but Button Collector is a good way to sync momentum. It makes your opponent sack foundations, that takes away their resources, or else they get their board sealed. And as we were talking about with Risky Gamble, often they have some good ones, and taking those away is really strong. Enormous Axe, just sacrifice of value. Also, kind of in the same vein as I was talking with Grenade Racers, commit for 4 damage is really good. I like committing for 4 damage. There are Jimmy spots where you can find lethal because of having an Enormous Axe sitting around your stage. But really, it's first and foremost, it's here to get sacrificed and give you an extra foundation back immediately. It's a 2-for-1 the same way Battle Arena is a 2-for-1, right? You can sacrifice to Hanji and then commit Hanji, and at the end of that hand step, you went in with 2 commit foundations. You led with your 7-diff, or your 8-diff, or your 9-diff, and then you sack a Weapon Clash. You sack a Enormous Axe, get 1 back, ready Hanji, commit Hanji, get another 1 back. You're back to full basically. I'm with you. You don't have to talk about. It gives you 2 damage when it enters the discard pile. We're playing 3 because it was funny, and I was trying to slim slots. I think because I didn't want to find more sleeves, but this is probably correct to just play 4. But we're playing 3 because if they count them and they're like, oh, there's 1 left, they're wrong. Haha. Brief of Spite is in here as kind of Weapon Clashes 5 and 6. This is another 1-diff. It's a high block. The high block count in this deck is actually pretty okay, but we want to be playing this is 23, including Immortal Shapeshifter, and Weapon Clash is full high blocks, and Beast Titan Attack is full high blocks, and Ready Chat is full high blocks. So we'll have highs in our hand, but we don't really want to block with them, usually, a lot of times. We have too many mid blocks is really the story. We're also kind of low on low blocks. This probably ought to be the Star Trek Foundation that stacks as a response. Response speed is better than enhanced speed in a lot of cases, which I'm coming to believe it's better. It's really just sideways, but when I was building this deck together, I thought I'd rather have the high block, and I'm not sure that's correct. But this is the kitchen. We're cooking. I'm not sure where the perfectly correct answers are, but I'm confident in the bones of the Beast Titan attacks and such like that. Always Cool is in here as a fun. This could easily be a 4 of. I hate responding with it because it's a concession that I don't want your attack to deal damage or whatever, or that I'm content to take damage from your attack. But it is a powerful resource to have in your stage. Also, it works really funnily with Greater Gold because Always cool sacrifices as cost, and if you followed my other videos about rules, we know that you pay costs and then you do the effects. And in between those, you have a game event where you can respond, for instance, to the cost being paid. So response destroy, hey, I destroyed a foundation. I will respond greater goal. I'll flip some foundations, give your attack minus damage, and then I'll apply the effect that says you can't change your damage anymore. So now your attack is locked in at less than printed. Plus, also we have all these ways to gain life. Oh man, I'm gesturing in front of my monitor, and you can see that in the background there. That's cool. Anyway, yeah, always cool. Good card. Occasionally, you'll use the enhance to build some extra resources. If you put this in your card pool, it's kind of a net even actually to play another attack because you add one per guy, add one difficulty, add 2 foundations. It's +1. Yeah, you're good. Well, wait. Yeah, so I have 2 duplicitous. I play this on a 7. I play and put all my skill in the card pool. I play the second one on a 9. It's just as good as having one foundation in my stage, and playing on an 8 rather than having 2 in my stage. And anyway, this could be a moonshot to try to find your outwit card or have extra resources to sacrifice to battle arenas or whatever in a pinch. But yeah, you can just throw in the card pool if they attack you and have another extra rattlesnake along with Desperate Plea. Yeah, Weapon Clash also just flipping to build an extra foundation is a very real thing this deck will do. Not infrequently, although the enhanced destroy 1 face down is really, really strong. So I think I usually don't use this unless I have to. I don't flip this unless I have to, or unless I'm attacking you and trying to kill you, because building extra committed resources for Hange to sack, good times. Yeah, and we have some 2 of Desperate Struggle, a really, really strong card. I probably should have Invincible Body here as well as kind of another 3 difficulty foundation. There are a lot of things like Coronation of Historia Rice and Ice Sword Execution floating around, and also just targeted removal. And having both a widespread of these kind of defensive bombs that say, if you're trying to put a 20 damage attack on the table to overcome my damage reduction, well, I want to be able to fight over that. I want to be able to deflect those, to stop those, without having to block them, without having to laboriously, minus 2, minus 3 them away. Invincible Body should have a place in this deck, probably. But yeah, Desperate Struggle's in here. It deals with flash attacks. That's a big part of the coverage. I'm excited to have this in my deck because it deals with flash attacks. We can also unflip it with Hiding Out and with Wielding One for All. Yeah, we've got a hot one of Push Limits because I had a top 32 promo and because it looked cool. It's not been bad. It's not been incredible. It's been about as good as Flip Draw card is. Hiding Out is another Deadlock bomb. This is a preposterous deadlock, but then also it's just very boring, very vanilla, like good stuff. Unflip some stuff. Button Collector I didn't talk about too much, but we have Button Collector Replicator Enthusiast and also Button Collector plus unflips, so we can try to draw like 10 cards. Is exciting. I don't know if it's good. I've been surprised by how little impact. Like if I get 2, I e-commit. I'm sad that I have to flip it. I'd rather just have 2 Passing Torches in play than draw 2 cards now and draw 1 card later. But commit draw 1 card is pretty great. I'm very happy with commit draw 1 card in this deck. And we have some dreams to get more out of it. There could be there certainly could be a Hanji deck that's playing like female Titan attacks with Falling Heel Strike is a kick that unflips 1 foundation. We could be doing a lot more Button Collector stuff. Frightening Calm is stun 1 to all of your attacks on the kill turn. This is amazing. This is how you this deck stalls games very slowly, and then it wins suddenly all abruptly all at once. Sometimes you can try to win slowly with kind of beast attacks, chip damage throws or whatever. But we're trying to get 1 big kill turn, and having stun 4 in your 1 big kill turn when it's backed up with deadlock, board removal, and sacrifice effects and other miscellaneous stuns from Ready Shot and Duplicitous Recollection, it adds up. It creates an opening, and then the huge damage output, out of Greater Goal enhances, out of Hanji +3s, out of Grenade Bracers, just out of the giant base damage stats of these 6 and 8 and whatever damage moves. This is a powerful resource. I wouldn't mind having more of these maybe in the sideboard if I'm playing against long games or whatever. We have 1 extra list studies. This could be more, but this probably ought to be more as just a protection piece. But also, picking your blocks back up is awesome. Picking up Gengai's Guidance is filthy. If your opponent's trying to play a 10-hit string, deleting 2 of them is very good. And yeah, finally 1 league interview is another 2 for 1 in the Battle Arena mold. Just +1 your check. There have been times where I've had more 6 checks in this deck. Right now we only have the 1. This is certainly a space where we could be more like the Spawning Titan, more kind of proactive of trying to loop our checks and then play big fast attacks that are annoying to block, but really This is a one of because we're not trying to do that all the time. This is kind of a passive wall deck first and a aggro beat you down deck second because Hange needs our opponent to cooperate before they'll be open for to get killed. Right? We're playing these discard effects because to kind of have the threat of activation of saying, well, maybe I'll make you discard 2 cards this turn, but for the most part, I'll make you hold extra cards, and that'll let me get further ahead on my greedy build turns. You have to be more conservative, and if they are greedy, we can already punish them pretty okay. Talk about the sideboard. We already talked about most of these cards actually. Spontaneous taxes. If we want to be deleting big, except that we can't block everything, and we want to have an extra Titan here to block for us, to get in the way first. Beast Titan Skull is more ranged. We have this little package of interactive cards that, again, certainly could be in the main deck, certainly could be, just gotta figure out the rooms, the space. This deck, big picture, is currently 73 cards, I think. I'm not sure that matches with this is probably correct. Anyway, I thought it was, I did some pile shuffling last night and was counting and got different numbers different times. I don't know what's happening. Might have just dropped some cards on the floor. But yeah, this is in part a deck that plays fatter than usual because we don't want to cycle, we don't want to get decked, and also we want our tutor targets to our tutor cards, our cards that touch the discard pile you get much weaker if you cycle, right? Your discard pile goes away, and suddenly Duplicitous Recollection has nothing to hit. It goes from one of the best cards in your deck to blank until you find another Beast Titan attacks in the graveyard. We're playing a little heavier. In an ideal world, when you have good cards, you'd rather draw your good cards than your less good cards. But it's a balancing act. And I guess one thing to highlight also is that Immortal Shapeshifter, even if you're at full, you can respond to this just to fill up your graveyard, fill up your discard pile, just to check cards, put them down there, and try to find your many one diff tutor targets to find your first Beast Titan attack, to find your first ready shot, which you can then tutor with Beast Titan with Monkey Flip, and to find your one-up Gravity Beam. Interactive cards touching your opponent's stage. It's really good. It's better the better your opponent's cards get. Not everyone plays good cards. Sometimes they're playing Byakko, and all of their good cards, all of their goodness is locked up in raw brute force. Flip your stage stuff and throws. But a lot of times, you'll play against a deck whose cards have important text. You'll play against the mirror match, and they'll have greater goal, and committing their greater goals with Showdown will be really, really good. I just wasn't sure. This certainly could make room in the main deck. It'd be up to you. I just wanted to. I want to share this deck, and I got sick of the perfectionism of saying I gotta get this script polished or whatever. So we're shipping it. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe for more, etc. Bye.